The Registrar General's office that occurs in every state or province in the legal world of countries is actually given a term or a designation that is very similar to a court. So when you're involved in anything to do with the Registrar General's office, it is a tribunal, which is what the Romans used to call their court system, a tribunal. So when we refer to a debt of record in the civil law, surnames, and if you go into the historical record of it and go into even Bouvier's Law Dictionary, which has a lot to do with the civil law, especially in the United States and Canada, you will find that surnames were placed on judgments. That's what the magistrates used them for. They were placed for judgment debts. You couldn't have a debtor without a debtor name. So therefore they were placed on there for such. The reason, now we know a child could never be a debtor in reality because he could never enter into a contract to create debt. But in the illusion of the framework of these nations, you're framed as a debtor by accusation, that this child will eventually be this debtor. So this is a record of debt. What is a record of debt? A debt evidenced by a court record such as a judgment. So this in essence represents an implied record of debt established in a tribunal of the Registrar General's office. Then the judgment is issued, and then you take over the judgment, even though it's not really a judgment, because the child could never have entered into this damnation. But in the world of man, this is how it operates. And so therefore, when you make a claim to a debtor name that's on this record, that's a liability on a claim, and that's why it's a debt. So all the claims in the legal world are based on liability of claim. So if you claim it, you've taken on the liability. So when we see the simplicity of this, we'll realize that in order for someone to get out of this, leave, escape, you would have to deny the legal persona you were before. You'll have to lose your life in order to gain it. That's why Paul said, to live is Christ, to die is gain. He was talking about civil death in the legal world. So you would have to deny any at all interest in this legal instrument or legal claim to any legal rights in order to be freed from that system. Now, in essence, I was born in the legal world. I know in truth I was naturally born as it would be considered a bastard in law, because without a last name, you're considered a bastard in the legal system. So as your given name shows up on the record, that's a bastard in the legal, because he needs a legal title in order to be in a legal estate under man's laws. So on April 7th, AD 1964, I, in essence, was born dead in sin in their legal world, in essence, a miscarriage of justice, stillborn, deadborn. But upon accepting Christ on October 12th, AD 2013, by giving myself to Christ, I was born again. And that's the understanding from the scripture. So very simple, you're living with the dead in the legal until you accept Christ, and then everything you were before is gone. So you are civilly dead, not naturally dead. You no longer act in legal civil rights anymore.